What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Potomac. This is season 9, episode 10. It wasn't really much going on in this episode. It was but I got my mic. I feel better now. So let's get into this review. So y'all know sometimes before we get into it, we get a little spicy over here. And I just got 3 things to talk about. So first up, it looks like Wendy and Mia were on the cover of this magazine called Miami Vibe or Miami Vibes magazine. They did a photo shoot. I think they both look really pretty, but Wendy stole the show for me. I especially like her in this it's like a pinkish lilac purplish dress. I think she looks really pretty there. And I mean, Mia looked nice, okay? But the reason why I'm bringing this up is mainly because of the responses to this being posted. Like, I saw a lot of mixed reactions. I think it's because people don't really have positive feelings about Mia, that they are starting to feel like Wendy needs to pick a side, because I saw some people saying, it looks like Wendy is the new Jacqueline. I said, dang, y'all gonna demote her like that? Then I saw a few other people being like, why would Wendy ever do a photo shoot with this lady when this is the same lady that assaulted you in Miami by throwing a drink at you and trying to hit you with her purse? Like, this is just crazy. And I kind of get where people are coming from. I don't think Mia and Wendy are like friends, but I do think that they are associates in a sense, and they're co-workers. So more than likely they were asked to do this photo shoot mainly because they were down there for Bravo Fan Fest, which was hosted in Miami, So I mean, if they were getting paid, I guess it's cool, but it was just interesting to see how people responded to the photo shoot and the magazine cover. So the last things I want to talk about is Giselle. So Giselle was on Watch What Happens Live Sunday night, and she was asked a series of questions like they always do. The first one was about Stacey. We also got an update about the speed dating. So let me play that clip for you guys first.
I love seeing you ladies kind of rally around Stacey and give her advice about divorce. That was some nice sisterhood that I love to see.
Yes, and we were correct.
Yes, as we will see.
He said he's hiding it, and she found out he is.
Right.
All the money.
And do you, are you enjoying Stacey in the group?
I am. I do feel like Stacey is not the airhead that she pretends to be.
Okay.
Right? And I think that we'll see that from her next season.
Okay. Does she pretend to be an airhead?
A bit.
Okay.
Yes.
What's the latest on the will situation with your dad? Any resolve there?
We're still working. Actually, depositions happened today.
Really?
Yeah.
Without giving anything away, is any of the people you met during speed dating still in your life?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh gosh. Was I supposed to say that?
No, that's good.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah, okay, that's great.
Well,
wow.
they went away.
Aisling is excited.
They went away and then they came back.
Okay, very good. Okay.
So I actually agree with Giselle. I don't think Stacey is as ditzy as she likes to portray herself to be, or as far removed as she likes to act like she is from Black culture. Like, we'll talk about it in the review about how she don't own a satin bonnet, so you got a satin pillow. So let's cut the cap, Stacey. Let's not act like this, okay? But I also thought it was interesting that Giselle said that next season, I think people will really see her personality shine through. So I wonder if that's like confirmation that Stacey will be back for season 10. And I do think Stacey is a good addition to the cast compared to Kiarna and Jazzy. Like, she seems like she is meshing well with them. So I would like to see her come back. I am of the belief that a newbie should at least get at minimum 2 seasons so they can flesh out their character for the show. And I also thought it was interesting that Giselle is still talking to some of the guys that she dated or during speed dating, because it only seems like she connected with one guy and nobody else. But the next clip I want to play for you guys is Giselle answering a viewer question, basically telling us where she's at in her relationship with Mia.
Now that you've taken it all in, what's your reaction to Mia bringing up your daughter sneaking boys into your house in last week's episode?
So we deal with it in a couple more episodes. So I don't really want to say, but of course, she's dead to me.
Okay.
So Giselle says Mia is dead to her. I'm expecting Giselle to really address Mia. She says that she addresses Mia in the next coming episodes, but I want her to girl, you better give that lady the blues. The way you gave Wendy and Candace the blues when you felt like they were making disparaging looks when you were talking about your child, that was indirect. But Mia came to you directly at your door. She knocked on the door, she rang the doorbell, and basically implied that your children were out here being scandalous and fast while you were in the DR. So you better check her. And I mean check her good and check her well. Because if you don't, Giselle, when I tell you the internet is going to flame you up, because I've watched other YouTubers, I've seen people's tweets on Twitter and on BlueSky, I've seen the TikToks, I've seen the Instagram posts. If you don't give Mia everything you got and then some, girl, get off the show, because the people are going to be pissed off, me included. But let's get into this review. So like I said in the intro, it wasn't really much going on in this episode, okay? It was very meh, but here we are. So the episode opens up and we're at Giselle's house. She's sitting in the den with all three of her kids and they're just talking. Adora and Angel, I guess, have a job that they go to. I don't know if they go to the same job or not, but Adora was complaining about how she was like, I ain't want to go, but I need the money. And I was like, I think that's how everybody feel about their jobs. And we also find out that they graduated, I think Angel with a 4.0 and Adora with a 3.9. And I mean, those are amazing GPAs, okay? And Giselle's like, my kids are doing the things of the things. And I feel like Giselle now might be having this feeling that she has to overcompensate for what Mia said about her girls. But honestly, even if their GPAs weren't as good as they are, I feel like everybody still would have felt some type of way, because it's like, girl, she's speaking on kids, and normally that's a no-no for everybody. So Giselle ends up talking to the girls about, getting ready for college. It seems like Angel is ready to go. And Giselle's like, you ready to leave me? And she's like, I'm not ready to leave you, but I'm ready to leave. And I feel like that's how everyone feels. So then they start talking about the grandfather. So it seems like there's this huge will drama going on with Giselle and her family. So after her dad unfortunately passed away, he had a will where it was he divvied out everything and it seemed like it was fair, but that got thrown in the trash, and a new will was presented 2 days after his brain surgery that he allegedly signed. But Giselle was like, I was with my father after the surgery, and he couldn't really speak. He couldn't he didn't have the energy to sign anything, let alone sign a document that would take the place of a will that he already had established. So Giselle is they're trying to get the will thrown out. If they do get it thrown out in the state of Georgia, I guess the rest of the children, because I think Giselle has maybe one or two siblings. I know she mentioned last season she had a sister, that it would be divvied up, the kids would get I guess 3/3 or something like that. They would equally separate his property amongst his children. And Giselle basically said in the new will, she gets nothing, her siblings get nothing, and her children get nothing. And she was like, my father wouldn't have, no. The way my dad loved me and the way that he loved my kids, he loved my kids more than he loved me. He definitely would have left them something in his will. And I was like, yeah, we saw how much Giselle's dad loved his kids. Now, I was wondering who she was talking about. I was like, is this some shiesty stuff going on with your siblings, where there's infighting? Or did the dad remarry? And a lot of people said online that the dad did remarry. So I wonder if his new wife, did some finagling and presented a new document that she counterfeit, she signed without his authorization. So Giselle is like, yeah, I'm fighting for this. We find out that Jamal has trust for his kids. So no matter who he marries, there's always a trust and nobody can touch that. So then the girls are like, well, are you going to get married again? And Giselle's like, I don't know about that. And then I think it was Adore that was like, well, if dad has a trust that like nobody can touch, like a will can't even touch it, then why not just do that? And Giselle's like, because I don't be trusting people like that. And I did laugh. But hopefully she gets this situation rectified, because I definitely think it's kind of weird that her dad didn't leave her anything. Like, and Giselle goes on and on about how her dad was always about generational wealth, which is kind of crazy because y'all used to give Candace so much slack about having generational wealth, but now you're fighting to get your own generational wealth. Interesting. But I do think that they should get something. Like, as much as we saw her dad interact with her and her kids, you can definitely tell that he loved them. Like, and I don't think he would just leave this earth without leaving anything to them. So then we get this scene with TJ and Stacy. We're at Stacy's crash pad. We see TJ there, and he decides, hey, let's not go out to get lunch. Let me make you pizza. He got an off-brand Mario accent while he making this pizza and giving her bug juice, okay? Because I was like, that looked like... And if you don't know what bug juice is, if I can find a picture, I'll put it on here. But I was like, that color looks artificial, and I know it don't taste that good and got a nasty aftertaste. So they're drinking this juice out of wine glasses that it would probably cost him a bottle like $1.25 if he got it from the Dollar Tree, and maybe $1.50 if he got it from the convenience store. But she's sitting down. He has on this satin bonnet because he was like, they don't sell chef hats at the grocery store. So he got this satin bonnet on. Stacy is like, oh my God, it's so funny. And I was like, oh, okay, Ned and Maude Flanders. Okay, that's what they give me. And then Stacy gonna be like, she doesn't even own a satin bonnet. I said, so you got a satin pillow? Stacy, you not that far removed from Black culture to make me believe that you don't have a satin anything. It's either a pillow, a do-rag, or a scarf. Miss me with that, okay? So as she's sitting down at the little kitchen table and he's making the pizza, he ends up asking Stacy, so how are you feeling about Wendy's birthday party? Stacy said she had a good time, but then TJ is like, well, I felt like I was the Uber date. And she was like, how so? He was like, well, you didn't talk to me for like 4 hours. And Stacy's whole thing is like, she thought he was fine because there were other men there, the other ladies' husbands and their boyfriends, that understood that they were hanging out and filming. And she thought that's who TJ was going to be around. And they do a flashback of where TJ drops her off so she can talk to the girls, and then he goes talks to the guys. And then they show when he got mad at her, when she was like, well, I was looking for you. And he was like, no, you weren't. He was like, I've been sitting here right here all like I was over there the whole time. And then she's like touching him, trying to calm him down. And he was like, don't get your hands off me. Okay. She's like, I'm sorry. He's like, no, you're not sorry. He was like, you better get it together, man. I'm warning you, get it together. And again, Stacy, I don't know why you still talking to this man, because there's no way you would be talking to me like this. And 1, we not sleeping together. 2, you don't even make me feel like you want me. 3, you don't even take me on real actual dates. All we go to is the National Zoo, which is free, in the gym that we probably both got a membership for. You wasting time, okay? Wasting time. And he ain't even that attractive to be doing all of this for. And on top of that, TJ is not in his 40s. That's a hard 40. If we say that, man, he giving a smooth 55, okay? And I'm being generous, all right? So she apologizes to him and says, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. And they pretty much kind of move on from it, even though it seemed like he wanted to continue talking about it, but she apologizes. So, and that's the other thing. For him to be in his feelings talking about it, there was really nobody for him to talk to. You was talking to Ray the whole entire time. You was talking about computers. You were talking about, like, I don't know, host bonuses of $56,000. So it wasn't like you were just sitting off in the corner by yourself twiddling your thumbs. Like, you had people to speak to. So, okay. So he sits down and they start eating the pizza. I think he ends up asking her, has she got a forensic accountant, and like asking about the divorce. She ends up saying no. And he ends up kind of looking at her like, why not? And she's like, well, we got mediation another time. Like, it's going to take like three more times. And he kind of looked like, for real? And I'm like, why do you care? Cause you don't really want her. Like, let's keep it a buck. So then Stacey ends up telling TJ about how the girls last episode when she met up with Wendy, Karen, Giselle, and Ashley to talk about mediation. We're basically telling her, girl, I don't think you should be jumping into a relationship since you've been married for 16 years. TJ kind of scoffs at it and is like, I don't really care about that. But then I think Stacey was like, well, what would you feel like if I decided to date other people or speak to other people? And he was like, well, I mean, I wouldn't be waiting for you like that. I mean, like, we would be together, but I would keep my options open as well. And then Stacey is like, you won't even sleep with me and you got options? And he's like, well, yeah, casual sex won't solve anything. Like, I like to get to know somebody before I sleep with them, which I can understand that. But then Stacey is just like, see, I wanted you to fight for me. I wanted you to be like, no, I would feel some type of way, or, oh, I would throw up at the thought of another man touching you. And TJ's like, well, I didn't say I'd be happy about it. I'm just saying, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. And I would hope that eventually you would choose me. And she was looking at him like, and I want you to choose me. See, if I got to ask you to choose me, pick me, love me, we don't need to be together. And I also don't like the fact that TJ was saying, can you have you gotten a forensic accountant? Because the only time I hear that is when they're going through people's bank accounts. And it's giving very much, you think you're going to get some money out of this lady. Also, I don't get why he was so butthurt about her not like speaking to him at Wendy's party when he's supposed to be this actor. And I'm just kind of like, well, you know how filming works. Why are you bothered? Something about TJ is just off. And it's not even given like what a lot of people have been saying about him. To me, it just gives that he doesn't like her. And it's one thing, because I've seen a lot of people be like, well, I think it's wrong that she keeps asking about sex. And I think that's because Stacey might feel like if she has sex with this man, they may connect. Because there's ways to be intimate with somebody beyond sex. Like, you don't always have to have sex to be intimate, but there's something about TJ just feels like he's not into her. So she's wanting him to like want her. And it's like, girl, why are you begging for this man to want you? Like, why? Like, you too pretty for that. Next thing we have is of Wendy and her sister and her mom meeting up to have lunch together. We first see Wendy and Ivy get to the restaurant first. I hated Wendy's sleeves. Like, the sweater dress itself was pretty and the color was pretty, but I didn't understand why the sleeves were like, it just didn't make sense. Okay, I was just like, why is it like that? I don't like it. And it reminded me of like a One Piece character, because sometimes Oda will draw characters with weird body parts, and that's just what it looked like. And so the sister and her get there, they take shots, and then Ivy is like, so why am I here? And she's like, well, I'm gonna tell mom that I quit working at Johns Hopkins. Ivy said, girl, and why did you invite me? I don't want to be a part of this. Leave me out the group chat. And so Wendy is like, well, you here now? So, and she also explains, like, in Nigerian culture, the 3 jobs you can have is doctor, lawyer, and if you feeling spicy, engineer. And so Miss Susan gets there. They go sit down. They're ordering drinks and like appetizers for the table. And the mango margarita Miss Susan had looked delicious. But as the waiter is walking away, Wendy ends up telling the waiter like, hey, can you add this? Well, Miss Susan started praying while they were just sitting casually at the table. And then she got an attitude because Wendy was talking while she was praying. But then I'm looking at Miss Susan like, well, ma'am, if you didn't want her to speak, then you should have made an announcement to the table. On top of that, who prays when there's no food at the table or drinks? You pray when everything gets to the table. What? So Ivy ends up prompting Wendy to tell their mom like why they're there. And so as they're talking, Ivy just looking at her mama and looking at her sister like, tell her. And so Wendy ends up trying to explain to her mom. She's like beating around the bush, and then Ivy's like, hold her hand. So they're holding hands. And so then she explains to her mom that she quit working at Johns Hopkins. Susan releases Wendy's hand and she's like, oh, I lost my appetite. I'm sick. She ends up saying like, I brag on my children. What am I going to brag about now? Okay. Like, I'm lost and confused. I'm disjointed. So then Ivy ends up being like, girl, explain to her why you did it. Kick it into high gear. It was such a sister response. Like, explain it. You just letting her not say nothing. Say something, Wendy. So then Wendy ends up being like, well, I wanted to spend more time with my children, also work on my YouTube channel, which I feel is like maybe her YouTube channel is just for the TV show. Like when when Real Housewives of Potomac is on, Wendy's more active, because I'm like, girl, you talked about that YouTube channel last season, and I think you don't even have no more than like maybe 12 videos on there. And if it's supposed to be a talk show, I feel like there should be at least like 20 episodes up until now to talk about different topics. So I feel like it's more of a TV thing. And I also feel like some people, especially reality stars, will get down on YouTube and think it's so easy. And it's like it's not, because you're responsible for everything. Like editing the videos, unless you have money to send it to an editor, the lighting, microphones and all of that stuff, and setting an atmosphere, versus like being on TV where you have production miking you up and curating like the space for you. So I don't know. And then she also talks about how she felt tolerated but not appreciated at the school. So then Susan ends up being like, oh, okay, well, I don't want you to feel chained to anything. You can do whatever you want. So then Wendy and her sister are like, well, how come you never told us that? And Wendy says in her confessional, like, I'm at the point where it's like, I can, have my own dreams, have my own passions. And it's not because that's what my parents want for me. That's what I want for myself. And she should feel that way. Like, she should have been felt that way. But hey, in her 40s, I guess she hit a new stride. Okay. You know what I mean? But yeah, the next thing we get is of Ashley and Giselle speed dating. And all I'm going to say is, if that's the energy that they are bringing to that show that is supposed to have Giselle, Ashley, Luann, and Shannon on, girl, cancel the show. Because I was so bored. And I'm not even really into dating shows like that. But like, I was like, oh, this is dry. But you could definitely tell that Ashley was excited. So we see Giselle and Ashley meet up before going into the establishment. We see her friend Bandit, which I think we saw last episode when Ashley was like doing the whole scaling down the building, and Giselle pretty much told Ashley, we are speed dating with the same amount, like with the same guys. Like, what if I like somebody and I want to tell you I like him and you need to back up? So Ashley was like, so you want to pee on him? She said, maybe, but I'm just letting you know, if I want him, girl, get away from him. But then I'm looking at Giselle like, girl, Ashley don't want no black man. She don't want black men. like, let's be real and be realistic. And you don't want no white man. So I would, unless the man is mixed. But then it's the type of mix. Because if he's mixed with a black mama, that's for Giselle. Mixed with a white mama, that's for Ashley. Y'all are not going to want the same men. Like, let's keep it all the way 100. So they go in there. Yeah, okay. The first guy, Will, who brought Ashley the bouquet of roses, girl, throw them away. They might have a bug in them. Because the gesture was nice, but it also gave kind of like stalkerish, because no, don't be giving me no birthday present and no bouquet of roses that are my favorite, and we ain't even built that type of connection. Like, I don't know. He kind of did too much, so it's a no for Will. And you could tell that Ashley wasn't feeling it. We then see Giselle. She talks to this gay. I think his name is Nassim. I hope I'm saying that correctly. But she really feeling him. He looked just like Sherman and Jamal. And Giselle ends up saying, like, girl, I got a type. Yeah, you do, bald-headed and dark skin. Okay, and probably 6'1". And she ends up bringing up Jason. I said, girl, we all know that was fake. So stop trying to make it feel real for you, because we know it wasn't real for us. So Ashley ends up going with this guy named Josh. He's 30. He grew up, I think, in Philly or in Philadelphia on a farm, and he loves his mama. Then Giselle ends up liking Nassim. He's 42 and likes to turn up and is Giselle's type. So we end up seeing Ashley go on a date with Josh. We find out that at 28, he had thyroid cancer. And Ashley's like, oh my God, she's really feeling him. They end up kissing after, playing beer pong. Here's the thing. This better be Ashley's last season. When I tell you, Ashley, the worst thing that could ever happen to you is Candace not being here, because that's what it is. Because I've been asking myself, why do we care about Ashley? And when you guys put it in the comments last time, if someone, I don't know, I think a few of y'all have said the same thing where y'all like, it's because Candace is not there for her to play off of. And it's true. Candace is not here for Ashley to play off of. So it's like, she adds nothing to this show. Like, she doesn't really have nothing going on. She's been talking about this divorce since season 6, and now we're in season 9. And it's like, when you add the whole divorce element, it's sprinkled in there, her beef with Candace, it's the beef with Candace that kept her like steady. Her just being divorced and dating, I don't care. And that's like, I like this whole scene with her and Josh. I'm looking at Josh like, bro, you're 30. Why are you trying to be with a 36-year-old woman who hasn't even divorced her husband completely with 2 kids that we're going to keep it real, they seem very unruly. That's a lot of baggage to take on at 30. Like, no. And if the roles were reversed and it was a woman and he had 2 kids and you were in your 30, girl, I tell you to run. So I'm going to tell this man, yeah, tread lightly, okay? But yeah, girl, Ashley, the worst thing for you is Candace being gone because you serve no purpose. Either next season you getting demoted, or if you come back for season 10, girl, you need to have a concrete storyline or a concrete beef with somebody because this ain't cutting it. It's not. So Karen and Ray, they're sitting in their backyard and they're just talking. And Karen basically tells Ray that she didn't realize how mad she was at him or how much she had resentment towards him until the night of the crash when everything came to a head. To me, I feel like Karen is trying to blame everybody except take accountability for what happened. But I also understand it's an open case and she don't want to incriminate herself. But she's like blaming it on, her parents passing away and then also her marital issues with Ray. I definitely think that in 2020 when Ray said he think he's still in love with Karen and Karen ran up to them steps during season 5 to cry in her bedroom, like I think she was in the closet. To me, I really felt like that shifted Karen because I do think Karen loves her some Ray. I feel like Karen and Ray's relationship reminds me of Nene and Greg's. Like, a younger woman got with an older man. They had some hard times. They stuck it out with each other and they really had a solid relationship. And Nene stayed with Greg until he transitioned. And I think Karen will stay with Ray until he transitions. She also was just telling him like she didn't feel like you were there, like he was there for her when she needed him to be during the passing of her parents. But with this DUI situation, she feels like he has really stepped up tremendously. They flash back to the tax situation, and I feel like Karen felt like having to bail Ray out really pissed her off because I think she used her whole entire Bravo checks to bail him out, and maybe she never felt like Ray appreciated it or really thanked her for what she did. But him being there for her during the DUI is really like, it's making her feel appreciated. I said, okay. On top of that, she's like, this is an institution. So that lets me know Karen ain't leaving that man no time soon. And, they kiss and embrace each other. I will say, normally Ray be looking decrepit to me, like he got 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot out. But sitting back there on that, in the backyard with Karen, I was like, Ray, you looking like a good 3 or 4 years younger with your shades on, leaning back. I said, okay. I said, that's why Ray want to move down to California. Oh, no, not California. Move to Florida so he could get some sun and just be chilling. Because when Ray is in like lax clothes, it's a vibe. I said, he look cool right about now, okay? So then we transition to this scene with Mia and Kiarna. So we see Mia on the phone with Gordon, and she's like, I think we're in a good place. And he was like, yeah, there's no going backwards. It's only going to get better. Mind you, I'm like, does he know that you're filming this conversation? I think he would have to, because they can't play it if the person doesn't sign off on it. But I'm just like, why does it need to be on speaker, girl? But okay. So Kiarna pulls up, Mia shades her and being like, girl, are you just coming back from being a camp counselor? Because Kiarna has on her boyfriend Greg's foundation or his organization like paraphernalia on. So they sit down and they just start talking about G. And Mia ends up saying how Gordon, it's like I'm dealing with someone who is up and down. Like 1 minute we're good, 1 minute we're not. She ends up saying that she appreciates Kiana. She feels like Kiana led with compassion at Wendy's event, and so she feels like because she works in mental health that she's here, like she could help her. Kiana ends up being like, I don't have any certifications or anything in mental health, but working with Greg and dealing with family members that have had mental health challenges, I feel like I can be a listening ear and probably give words of advice to Mia. So they're sitting there, and Kiana basically says that pretty much Gordon is getting triggered with every time that you're together with Ink and all of them. He might think in his mind he has a chance to get back with you, and that there's a possibility. Mia lets it be known that Gordon even said that he thinks that they should get back together, or there's a possibility that they could get back together but not have a sexual relationship. So Kiana was like, well, you need to create boundaries and separation, because in his mind he thinks y'all can get back together, and he might feel emasculated with you constantly having this man around. So Mia ends up being like, yeah, I know. And the thing about it is, like, every time Mia talks to somebody about this Gordon and Ink situation, they tell her the same thing. Jacqueline said it, Giselle said it, I even think Ashley said it, like, and even Karen said it. Everyone keeps saying, like, you need to have clear, concise, like, boundaries with this man. And you keep being like, yeah, I get it, but you're not doing it because you like the strife that it brings in your life and the chaos, because you a chaos demon, okay? So then Kiana ends up being like, well, Mia, I need to know if this is true. Like, so what about the paternity of your child? Like, is Gordon the father? Is the Ink the father? Mia basically admits that she knows that Gordon is Jeremiah's dad. She was like, we're getting a pregnancy test, and, you know, I'm pretty sure Gordon is the dad. But, like, Ink has really stepped up as a father, and honestly, girl, they act alike, okay? And Mia has, like, this weird obsession with trying to merge her family and, like, kind of push other people out. Because I remember when she was on the Carlos King interview and she talked about Ink's daughter and how she said Ink's daughter looks more like her than, like, the biological mom. And I was like, that's weird. You're being weird. And she's being weird right now. Jeremiah acts like Jeremiah. He don't act like Ink. He's not more like Ink or not. And you could even tell that Kiana was like, girl, so he's not the father. So why are we playing these games? Because Mia ain't got nothing else to do. That's why we playing these games. Have is of Mia and Gordon and their kids. I'm gonna be honest, this whole entire scene was so cringy, and it just shows the lack of understanding of me, I'm trying to formulate this. It just shows how much Mia doesn't understand how poorly of a job that she is doing. Because I think in Mia's mind, she thinks because her kids aren't really that old enough to, like, have social media, they're not really at that age, like her oldest son, like, I think he's, like, in middle school or high school, to, like, really fully understand the gravity of the situation or what she's doing, that she's, like, protecting them in some way by, like, doing this whole storyline to get to the bag, since now Gordon doesn't have any money. But this scene was so cringy and uncomfortable. It just shows that, girl, you don't know what you're doing, and you actually are not really protecting your kids. You're harming them. So we see them making cookies. Mia ends up saying, like, hey, do you want to take these cookies, like, to your teachers? And I was like, girl, but didn't you tell us that they were homeschooled? So I'm like, did you just start homeschooling them when you did that whole Instagram post? Or, like, are they private? Do they have, like, private tutors? Or do they actually go to public school and private school? Either way, I don't know what that's all about. So then they hear, like, a knock at the door. But before Gordon gets there, the little boy ends up asking, why do they live separately from their dad? And Mia ends up being like, well, didn't I tell you about me and daddy getting a divorce? And Jeremiah was like, no, you ain't tell me y'all was getting a divorce. You never explained that to me. like what we doing? And so they hear a knock at the door, and then G gets there. So they're mixing the cookie batter and all that stuff. And Mia's like, I'm glad you just came. They're asking me questions about our situation, and I think this would be the perfect time to actually talk to them. So they're talking, and they asked Jeremiah, so how do you feel about this? And he basically says, I have mixed feelings about it. He's probably confused, sad, upset. I don't know. He don't know what to expect, all of those things. And so Mia was like, well, I don't want you to be sad. And then Gordon was like, well, why can't he feel sad? Like, I actually would feel some type of way if he didn't feel sad about this situation, about us breaking up. So, we're about to get a divorce. And so Mia's like, oh, so we're getting a divorce. And Gordon basically says, I'm acquiescing. Like, clearly you want to have a divorce, and I'm preparing for life after Mia, which makes me feel like, were you lying to Kiarna about Gordon wanting to potentially be back in a relationship with you? Because he telling you to your face, girl, I'm preparing to divorce, like for this divorce. Like, I'm acquiescing to the fact that you do not want to be with me. And so they end up putting the cookies in the oven, and they're all just standing around in the kitchen as Gordon's sitting down at the counter and talking. So then they start asking about like marriage. And I don't know if Mia coached the kids or if the kids are just like, you know what, we got questions and we want the answers to them. And so I think the little girl asked, like, where did Gordon and Mia meet? And they didn't want to tell her the strip club. So, because she kept being like, where? And they were like, at first, they said North Carolina, then East North Carolina. And then they said, oh, we met at a club. So then they started talking about marriage and how it's this and it's that. And the little girl runs over to Gordon, and I think she said that she didn't want her parents to get a divorce, or she wanted them to stay married. They then start singing the baby carriage song with Gordon and Mia names in it. That was really awkward and cringy. And then the little girl runs back over to Mia, because Mia's like, what did you say? And she was like, I don't want you to marry Mr. Ink. And then Mia makes a face like she's actually stunned that she said that. And then in my mind, I'm like, see, Mia, you're doing a poor job, because last time we saw you talk to Ink in the kitchen, you was telling Ink that the kids didn't even know that y'all were together. They think y'all are friends. Kids aren't stupid. They know what's going on. And that little girl clearly told you, I don't want you to marry that man. And Mia didn't have a response. So then she ends up telling the kids, like, hey, go into the room and like do arts and crafts. And so Gordon ends up telling Mia, I think we need to have another conversation with them, because that was really like disjointed. Then Mia starts talking about this stupid stuff about like their innocence is so important to me, and I want to keep it that way. And Gordon ends up being like, well, we need to explain to them what's going on so they don't make the same decisions like we do. Like, I don't want them to be on their third and second marriage like me and you. I want them to be able to like handle things and be prepared for those types of relationships. And then Mia's like, yes, and I want them to know their worth and know when it's time to leave. So then they do the flashbacks to last season where Mia's like, you locked me in a room and took my phone, talking about financial abuse where Gordon drained her bank account and all of that stuff. And Gordon just keeps being like, well, we still need to have a conversation with them. So then Mia ends up talking about how, she talked to Kiarna, and Kiarna said that it's time for her to create some type of space between her and Gordon, and maybe he needs to move out of the apartment complex. But then I'm like, didn't you ask him to come back to DC? Because he was already living in North Carolina after y'all came to the point of like filing for divorce. It's so many like inconsistencies with Mia and Gordon. It makes no sense. And so Gordon said, this is working for us, isn't it? And she was like, yeah, but Ink even told me I need to stop worrying about you and really focus on our relationship. And then the kids walked back into the kitchen and they started dancing with each other. All I know is, Mia, you're not right. And it's sad because, like I said, I was excited for your storyline, but the way that you're going about this is so sloppy that I don't think you even understand the repercussions of this until your kids probably get to a certain age where they can really articulate how this whole entire situation made them feel. Because I do think Mia tries to play up like I'm a good mother role, and I'm not saying she's a bad mom. Like, this situation here, but I don't have kids, all right? But I'm just saying, like, there's a part of me that feels like Mia tries to, like, exude, like, I'm the perfect this, and I do this, and I protect my kids, but it's like, you're doing the opposite of that, and that's why everyone is looking at you like a zebra with 7 heads. Like, it's confusing. Okay. Y'all, that is it. That is all. And as always, remember to be bravely authentic, and definitely hop down in the comments below and share your thoughts with me. And also give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, and subscribe. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.